Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. My name is Reed. Along with me is Mike. Mike, how are you doing this week, sir?
Doing good, Reed. How about you?
Doing all right, man. Hanging in the NFL draft coming up soon, so I'm excited about that. See who the Bears land. I'm sure your Raiders might land some good folks as well.
You would think.
I'll see.
You
And then
never know.
we got some good comics to talk about. So one of the things is Ultimate Universe from Marvel has been really knocking it out of the park. We have a review coming up on Ultimate Spider-Man. We're gonna go through the first three issues of that. But we had last week Ultimate Black Panther number 3 came out. Mike, you and I really enjoyed the first two issues of this so far. If you're watching this, we have longer form reviews of those that are posted. We really enjoyed the work that Brian Hill and Stefano Caselli have been doing on this title thus far. And so we get issue 3 this week. Kind of picking up a little bit to kind of set the table of where we were. We had you have the forces of Khonshu kind of attacking Wakanda. You had where T'Challa's father was killed in an attack. And so T'Challa, the next month after that, is really sort of taking more drastic action, kind of imprisoning people and things like that, getting mad, trying to root out what's going on. And then at the end of issue 2, he sort of sets off to go find what's going on with this whole thing, kind of go on a solo mission by himself. He is attacked, basically overwhelmed, and then Storm saves him. We also, through the series, have seen in issue 1, they kind of hinted that Storm and Killmonger had been working together, and Killmonger was a little bit different than his comic counterpoint, and it not presented, at least, as an out and out villain at the start. We also kind of get some different pieces on the chessboard, and that Shuri is a little more aggressive in this universe, and so she's wanting more action and kind of is upset with T'Challa. They set up that there's a traitor inside of the Wakandan kind of royal palace, and so we're not sure as to who that is yet. And then the big change, Okoye is actually T'Challa's wife in this universe, although they've kind of been sleeping in separate beds and things like that. And it doesn't seem to be, it looks more a bit more like an arranged marriage as opposed to an actual genuine marriage, which kind of led to them. He kind of has to meet with these sorceresses and mystics who are a part of Wakanda, very much the Bene Gesserit from Dune kind of thing for the
Right?
Wakanda universe.
Exactly.
I think Brian Hill said, he did take some inspiration from Dune, and they kind of let him know a woman of light will eventually bring him a child, which leads you to think Storm, but there may be some things with Okoye there. And that's kind of where issue 3 picks up at. So, Mike, issue 3, you got a chance to read it. What did you think of this third issue so far?
Well, I know it's a little more dialogue driven than you would like, but I always like it when the stories get a little wordy because I like to know the why and the what. And I really kind of, I'm really liking it. I like the fact that he's on this hunting quest in issue 3 with Killmonger and kind of seeing how the other half lives out there, and I'm enjoying it. We get to know a little bit more about him, and he shows him parts of uh, the country that he wasn't aware of.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
where's
kind of
that
like
panel
beyond
when they
Wakanda.
when they when he takes him to the temple?
Yeah, it takes some kind of this Temple of Bast here. I got the
Oh
page.
yeah, you got it. Yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, doesn't that look cool? And
No, I
so
think what stands out in the issue, even though it's dialogue heavy, Stefano Caselli's art on the book has been fantastic thus far.
it really is. It's good. And then they drop down into the temple, and all of a sudden, T'Challa wants to put his suit on because he doesn't know what he's going to encounter, but there's so much vibranium down there that it doesn't work. And I just I'm loving the art style. Just great art like this. And Killmonger and Storm, are they a team? What's going on? Are they working together? It would seem so.
Yeah, I think the thing with issue 3, I don't necessarily mind it being less action packed. I think it was the weakest of the first 3 issues, but I do think there are times you have to have the necessary setup issues or everything. And so with this, you kind of have where they're showing there's a little bit of difficulty with Shuri and Okoye at the beginning, where they kind of get into a bit of a fight with each other over disagreements about how everything's being handled with T'Challa and who knows what. I thought there was some necessarily kind of cool bit character building with T'Challa and Killmonger, in that one of the things this Ultimate Universe does is you get an opportunity to sort of put these pieces back on the chessboard in different places. And so, while as an older school fan of the comics who's read the Killmonger stuff from the original, I think it's what Don McGregor on that stuff, and then obviously from the movie where most folks know it, you kind of have an idea of what Killmonger will be, but you never know. This Ultimate Universe has kind of remixed things enough. And so, it could potentially be that Killmonger is not as nefarious as he normally is in the comics. It does seem like he has a little bit more perspective and is trying to get T'Challa to sort of widen his gaze beyond it, which was part of the movie as well. But I think they wrote it a little more subtly here, where you're not sure if he'll turn into a bad guy. Storm, I thought another intriguing kind of person to put into it. I will say the only issue I have with I love Storm. Storm is a great character. I do wish the Black Panther universe was allowed to be on its own a little bit, and that like so far in this Ultimate Universe, the only X-Men character to show up is Storm, and she's in the
Two
Black
of the
Panther
books.
book, not in the X-Men.
Yeah,
Um, but I think it puts it in an interesting place. I do think the kind of whole the Bast's temple and all that, and going in there and they find that energy source kind of on the last page that we don't really know, what this is or what's going on. I
such
think
cool artwork, though, right?
it's an interesting setup. Yeah, overall, what carries this for me is, and I think Brian Hill really is establishing, that he's a fantastic comic book writer. I know he's done stuff in the past. His Blade run was really, really good, and this Black Panther start has really just continued to show, man, that guy can really write good dialogue, write a scene, make characters feel real. Kind of, it does that great part of making you dive in as a reader, where you kind of sink into the story, and I think he's done a great job there. But you highlighted it, yeah. Caselli's artwork on this, one of the things I
Tells
appreciate
it.
about artists, and I'm kind of picky with art at times, and that like what I love with him is, and you kind of showed some of the pages, just the detail that he puts into it. The backgrounds have things, when you see like a temple wall or something like that, they took the time to have like little inscriptions and things on the temple that make it stand out and mean something and feel like a lived in place. And I think that's the one thing I've had a major complaint with art, and that art and comic books recently, it just kind of feels like anything that they don't have to draw, they put minimal effort into. And so Caselli, I really give him a lot of credit in that everything down from the temple to the way the costumes articulated to everything in there looks really good. It pops, it feels real. And I
Even these
appreciate
little
that
fight
aspect.
scenes.
Mhm.
Check out these little fight scenes, like where the leg is all blurred
Yeah. No,
and
it's
the
a great
hands
way
are
to capture
blurred.
emotion. He puts a lot into it.
I thought that was really cool.
No, I think he's doing an excellent job with it. I think overall this is a little bit more of a setup issue, and so if you're expecting, hey, like a hard hitting action issue, this is not going to be it. But I think for an overall arc, which this seems to be going through, it's a necessary issue that sets things up, kind of puts the pieces on the chessboard a little bit differently, and I think it's definitely a worthy, issue that kind of keeps it going. One of the things you always look for in these comic book runs is, are they going to keep it up? Keep it up. Like the first two issues you and I really loved, while I would say this is the weakest of the three so far, it would still get an A from me, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that I think.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the third issue. Absolutely. So how long are these gonna go, Reed?
They're set as ongoings, so we don't know. I think what I worry with the Ultimate Universe is like the writers I think will stay on for a while. The artists is where it really changes, and that I think Ultimate Spider-Man, we're already, I think, at the fourth or fifth issue set for a fill-in artist. So
No.
it's interesting, and we'll have to see what the fill-in art looks like. But overall, very, very solid first three issues. Great to dive into a black. Well, I'll say this more than anything. Great to dive into a Black Panther comic book again and have a really fun, engaging book that still loves T'Challa as a character. I think that's been the hardest
Yes.
part. As someone who I've always liked Black Panther. I used to read so many of the comic books back in the day because he kind of has that Batman role in the Marvel universe. There was great stuff like where they had him take over Daredevil's main title for a while, and he lived in Hell's Kitchen and kind of patrolled the streets there. That was such a great run. You had Christopher Priest do such a good job on the character, Reginald Hudlin. There's been so many good stories, and just the last 5 years or so, there just hasn't been great Black Panther stuff as far as T'Challa focused. And so it's great to get that back in here. Really love what they're doing. Hope it keeps up. Would highly recommend it. As always, let us know what you guys think below. What did you think of Ultimate Black Panther #3? What are you thinking of this run so far? We always appreciate seeing your thoughts down below. And as always, we will catch you in our next video.
Thanks, everybody.